Hola, hello, my name is Paulino Brener. I am a Spanish teacher from Argentina. I teach Spanish kindergarten through 6th grade at a public school in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but I have taught all levels, including adults, in person and online for more than 5 years. I am also the co-founder of Didactas.com, an online platform for ongoing professional development for language teachers. And you can find me on Twitter at Paulino Brener. Thank you for watching this presentation, adding interactivity and fun to online instruction. My goal is to show you a few ideas that you can add for more interaction and fun to your online instruction. And I want to emphasize a few because I don't want you to be overwhelmed with a lot of new ideas and tools. And also in this video, not only want to share the ideas, but how to create the activities that I'm going to present. So you get 2 for 1. You get some ideas that you can apply to several situations, but also how to create those ideas so that you can apply them as soon as possible with your students. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. This is what you can expect from our time together in this presentation. This presentation is divided in 4 parts. First, we're going to review some basic skills that every online teacher needs to know. Second, we're going to look at some ideas to add interaction and fun in our online classes. Third, I'd like to share a couple of my favorite apps for adding fun to the class. And fourth, I have a surprise for you, which you can read there. It's related to some gifts. Once again, thanks a lot for watching this presentation. Before we jump into the ideas, I want to quickly review some basic skills that I believe every online teacher or an in-person teacher who's now teaching online should master. Some really basic skills you should have practiced so much that you can do them in your sleep. You practice them so many times that you don't even have to think about it. You just do. This is the equivalent of knowing your classroom. In your physical classroom, you know where everything is and how everything works. The same is true in your online environment. You just need to know how things work so that you can focus on the interaction and delivering your content. Many teachers use different online platforms. The 2 most common that I know many teachers in public schools are using are Google Meet, which is the one I use, and Zoom, which is the one that I use for my adults. But you might be using another platform, and that's okay. Just make sure you know all the features you need to provide a smooth live session so that you don't have to be worrying about how to do something in that platform when you are teaching. So take some training, watch as many tutorials as you can about your platform. 2 very important things that you need to know with your eyes closed are how to share your screen. Here's an example on Google Meet and Zoom, how to quickly find that present now button or share your screen. My suggestion is that you always have the materials you're going to share, if they are on websites, for example, on its own window, on a different window that, for example, your email or something else you were watching. It will make it easier for you to share that content. Also, because we want different kinds of interactions, we don't want the chat to be always open and be a distraction. So both Google Meet and Zoom allow us to close the chat whenever we need to, but we might want to open it again for other type of interaction. I know that you know how to copy and paste, but have you practiced these shortcuts so many times and so much that you can do this without thinking and quickly copy and paste text and pictures from different sources to create a new resource or material on the spot. A lot of the fun in having interaction with our students is co-creating with them, being in the moment. In the in-person classroom, we can sometimes quickly do that on the board, but it might take a long time or a longer time if we go to a digital board and try to recreate that. So copying and pasting from different sources and then bringing them together into a digital document that then we can share with our students, it's a lot of where the interaction and fun comes together in a co-creation process. Also, when you are sharing information from a different website or application or how to do something, it's very important that you're able to, without thinking, switch back and forth between the resource and your online teaching platform, Google Meet, Zoom, or another. So make sure that you know very well how to switch from different windows. So on a PC, it's Alt Tab, and on a Mac, it's Command Tab if you're switching applications or different windows within one application. Let's say, for example, that you have several Chrome windows open, you use Command and tilde. This is important because when we start to integrate applications or activities that are outside our teaching platform, Google Meet or Zoom, so we're using an application that is not inside Google Meet or Zoom, we are going to be alternating back and forth one application and the other. Not many teachers have the luxury, like I do, to have two monitors that I can look at two things at the same time. So knowing these skills of switching quickly, it's very important and very useful. So let's get started with some ideas for interaction and fun. As I mentioned at the beginning, I will be showing you some ideas that you can apply to different situations and alternate that with short tutorials to show you how to create those ideas so that you can implement them with your students. Now remember, if you want more interaction, you need to engage your students often, every single class, and in a variety of ways. Interaction is not something that happens all of a sudden. In fact, some classes you will be more successful than others. I'm sure you know that very well. But if you develop the habit of creating engagement in every single class, then your students will be more used to participating. But you also need to provide variety to have a novelty effect or a surprise effect so that students don't get bored with it and always find it interesting to participate in many different ways. So talking about variety, I'm going to show you many different ways that you can do an activity that I hope all of you are doing at the beginning of your classes to ask your students how they are feeling. How are you today, or how are you feeling today? This kind of social, emotional learning activity that is so important not only to know how our students are feeling that day for that class, but also to build relationships, create community with our students. So important for learning. I'm going to base these different ways of doing this for this question, but remember that you can modify the question for any kind of comprehension check or question related to the content that you are giving at any time. So these are just examples. Also, I want you to know that even though I mainly teach kindergarten through 6th grade at a public schools, I have used these type of activities, these forms of interactions with all ages. And adults love when they are involved and when they all are able to participate at the same time in different ways, not just always when we call on one person for one-on-one interaction when we are in a group. Let's start with a few examples of interactions we can do without resorting to the chat or any outside applications. You can ask, "How are you today?" and ask students to turn on their camera if it's not on and just quickly give us a thumb up or thumb down so we can have a quick view of how the class is doing as a whole. Another variation of that is to ask students to show us on camera how they're feeling by grading themselves from 0, maybe 0 is bad or tired, to 5, which could be excellent. We can also support that with visuals, like adding an emoji on each side and ask students to do it on camera, and also give them the options to type a number in the chat so that they don't have to turn on their camera if they don't want to. Or we can just do the numbers in the chat so everybody can participate in a different way. Also, we can have a more variety, and in this case, we would ask students to type a number in the chat corresponding to the emoji of how they are feeling today, and we can give them a variety of options. And just for fun, you can ask your students to drop an emoji in the chat to express how they are feeling today, and just make sure that you watch some tutorials on how to do it on a Mac or a PC or a Chromebook so that you can do it yourself and tell your students or help your students on how to do it if you need to. So let's see how we can create slides that we would share to support these activities that we would do inside our online platforms such as Google Meet or Zoom. You can use an application like PowerPoint. I prefer to use Google Slides because I can access them anywhere. You can quickly create a new Google slide by typing slides.new in a browser, and a new Google slide will start. You can add your question by having a text box here, and then add the images. For images, you can click on images and search the web and quickly type thumbs like thumbs up, thumbs down. For example, here we have a picture of a thumbs down and thumbs up. We can insert that and leave it like that if we want. Or if we want to switch the order, I usually like to put thumbs up before thumbs down. We can, in this case, we can just click on the image and rotate it, flip it, and now we have thumbs up, thumbs down. To do something like the emojis or just pictures of emojis with the numbers below, or the examples of emojis that students can drop in the chat, it would be something similar. We will have text boxes. So this is the text box to have the question and the instruction. For adding the emoji, we would do the same, just adding pictures. We can add, find a picture here of emoji, and then choose different pictures. Even this one that has lots of emojis. If we find a picture like this with lots of emojis, we can use it by adding the whole picture. But if we don't want to use all the emojis, we can click on crop and then just crop and use just one line and leave it like that. And we can even copy that line and paste it, and we can double click and move the image inside that cropping box so that we see another line. So we have now two different lines that we can use, and we would use a text box below with the numbers. So we can copy this text box, for example, and use it below to add the numbers under each emoji. If we want to include emojis, we can use the keyboard, but inside a text box, Google Slides allows us to insert special characters. If you go to the menu Insert and then Special Characters, instead of a symbol, you can select emoji, and here you have a lot of variety of emojis that you can add, which for this case we want a few emojis related to emotions. We can select them and resize them. But if you're working with the text or other type of comprehension checks, you can use other types of emojis. In all the previous examples, all the interaction happens inside the platform or application that you're using for online instruction, the Google Meet or Zoom or another application. Students are responding by showing thumbs up or down on the camera, or the numbers, or typing the numbers, or dropping an emoji in the chat. Those types of interactions are suitable for all ages, but especially for the younger students, because for most of them, it's hard for them to go out of the Google Meet or Zoom, do something in another website, and come back sometimes. But for older students, 4th grade and up or 5th grade and up, after you teach them how, they are able to do activities outside of the online platform, Google Meet or Zoom, and then come back. A couple of ways that I like to do this for a lot of fun interaction are Jamboard document, and you can see an example here with a graphic organizer also asking how they are doing, and students put a post-it note, a digital sticky note wherever they want in this graphic organizer. And the other is called Mentimeter. It's a platform used for surveys, but I use it for a variety of comprehension checks or interactions with my students as well. So let me show you what's the experience for the students and how to create this type of documents so that you can use them yourself. Let's look at the activity done with Jamboard first. Jamboard, it's a free tool from Google, so anybody can use it. But if your school uses G Suite, it's all integrated and it works great. Your students will be inside the Google Meet or Zoom. You will explain the activity first and then drop the link to the document in the chat. Students will click on that link and go to the Jamboard document. This is a collaboration tool, and you can have up to 50 people collaborating in the same document at a time. In this case, the instruction says put a sticky note under the emoji that represents how you're feeling today. So we need to show this to students first, and the way they do it is they click on the sticky note, they write their name, and click Save. They can change the color if they want. And then they can move the sticky note to any part of this graphic organizer. And they can all do it at the same time. We're going to give them a time limit and say, let's stop. And then you can come back to the Google Meet or Zoom and then screen share that document so that you can talk about it, for example. So let's see how we create this document. On the Apps menu, when you open a new tab, you can click on the Apps menu on the top right. And if you don't see Jamboard icon there, just scroll down until we see Jamboard. If you are in a G Suite school and you don't see it at all, talk to your IT administrator to enable it. So when we click on Jamboard, we're going to see all the Jamboard documents that we have created, and we can click on the plus sign, this circle with the plus sign, to create a new one. So here we can create a graphic organizer that we want the students to use. For example, I can use the pen, and if I hold shift and move the pen, it will make a straight line. So maybe I will do 4 corners. One line this way, and one line this way. And I'm going to add some text. And maybe I'll have here to say fruits. And here, veggies. Here, desserts and drinks, for example. So, and of course, I would add a text on top and add some instruction. But this is how you can create the document. You can have all students work on one document, or if you want, you can duplicate this document. So I can click on that thumbnail, click on the 3 dots and duplicate it. And you can have the same graphic organizer for 1 per student, or you can divide students by groups. So here I have 5 graphic organizers. They're all the same. And I could divide my class into 5 groups. So only one group of students would be in one document, and another group of students would be on another document. It would help also if you write the number of the chart of the graphic organizer right here. So I could add here number 1, here number 2, just to make it easier for students to find it quickly. So you can build any graphic organizer you want. Now, when I am ready to share this with students for them to come and play with it, I can tell them that they can put a sticky note. Maybe they can suggest a fruit here and put it there as a sticky note. They can also add pictures. They can upload from their computer or search from Google. So that's something that we can also tell them to do, to add pictures, so we can make something visual. And they can also add text. For example. And if you want them to highlight something, this circle function can make different shapes. And if we click on the arrow there, it will make all different kinds of shapes. So maybe we want an arrow pointing to the apple. These are limited features, and that's kind of the point of it, so that you have just limited features just to collaborate and express ideas. But before we share with students, we make sure we have everything the way we want it. When we're ready to share with students, we need one more step. Probably this would have a name, so we can click on a name, food. And now we are ready to share with students. We're going to click on share, and below where it says get link, we're going to click change. And in this case, this is part of my school. I could make it that only students that are logging into my school use it, or anyone with the link would be for anyone in the world. They don't have to be part of my school. So if your school uses G Suite and you only want students who are logged in with their school account, then you would select your school. If you want anybody outside of school also to use it, then you can do anyone with the link. Usually I use it with my students, so I live within my school. And what I change is, instead of a viewer, they can be an editor. So now what this says is that anyone in this group, my district, with this link can edit. And that's the way they will be able to collaborate. So I'm just going to click on copy link, and that's the link that you are going to put in the chat. So when you're ready to start the activity, you're going to say, students, look at the link in the chat and go there and start collaborating. If you want to stop the collaboration and students cannot modify the document anymore, you can go back to the document. So the students are working. You can go back to the document and say, okay, it's time to stop. We can also stop them from editing the document by clicking on share one more time, change, and turn this back to viewer. So when we update this, students cannot edit the document anymore. So now we can go back and analyze, discuss, and continue with our activities. But now we have used a collaborative document to express our ideas. So let's look at Mentimeter. Mentimeter is a free tool, or it has a free version that is more than enough for simple questions. The paid version allows you to have one set of slides within one presentation, so you don't have to change the link all the time. So you just have one presentation with several slides. Each slide has a different question. But with the free version, it still works for you. If you want to have multiple questions, you just create different presentations. Each presentation will have its own link. So when you drop the link in the chat, either on Google Meet or Zoom, this is what the students will see. I chose this template, which is a sliding scale. So we instruct students to move the dot on the scale to show us how they are feeling today. There are other type of templates that you can use. So once students move the dot on the scale, they click submit, and then they go back to the Google Meet or Zoom. There we can screen share the results that will look something like this. On the bottom right, we can see that 13 people participated. Since they don't have to log in, we don't have names or anything like that, but we can know how many people participated. And this is a visual representation of how the class is feeling today. It creates kind of like this wave. The sliding scale template creates this graphic representation. And we can see that the average of the class is at 3.6. If we move our mouse over it, we have more information. 2 people selected 1, 1 person selected 2, 1 person selected 3, 5 people selected 4, and 4 people selected 5. So this is one type of representation. So let's see how we can create this. The site is called mentimeter.com. When you create a free account, you will come here and create a new presentation. Let's say this is about how are you feeling today. Create a new presentation. And then you will select what type of questions. There are several type of questions that you can create. And each type of question will create a different visual representation with the answers. So the most common ones are here on top. We have multiple choice, and here in the center you can see what type of visual representation the answers will create. Word cloud, which I really like, you have asked students to provide words on a certain topic, and it will create a word cloud, and of course the words that are repeated will be bigger. Open-ended, it will create cards with students' comments or answers. The scale, which is what I used in the example, and others. You can explore the different options on your own. But let's recreate the one that I just did. If we click on scale, I'm only going to use one statement. And in this case is the same. I'm going to do the same question. How are you today? And because it's a scale, here we have to give a label for the low value and the high value. So the low value could be better, and the high value is excellent. And that's it. So this is what it's going to look for the students. You notice here on top it says go to menti.com and use this code. That is useful, and that's a way that people can participate and access this question. If you are, let's say, in a classroom, you can show this to the students and they can do that from their devices. But because we are teaching online, instead of giving them that information, we want to make it easier for students. So we're going to click on share, and we're going to copy the voting link. So we just copy that link, and that's the link that we're going to share with our students in the chat. Because once the students click on that link, they will automatically go to the voting question, and they can participate that way. So I encourage you to try it and to look at all the different templates that are there, because they are really fun and create some great types of visual representation for the answers that we're getting from our students. Have fun with it. So far I have shown you many different ways that you can add interaction and fun. I used the example of how are you today, but you can modify that question to any comprehension question or content questions that you need during your lessons. I encourage you to try them, but not all of them at once. Pick one to try next week and maybe do the same activity for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you move to another one. Remember that, like anything, but especially with technology, it's better to go slowly and try one thing at a time until you get very comfortable with that. That said, I wanted to show you just a couple more applications that I think they are a lot of fun, and my students have told me that they really enjoy them when I incorporate them in my lessons. I'm going to jump right into demonstration mode. I hope you enjoy them. Our first fun application, it's called Wheel of Names, and there's nothing to download. You just go to a browser and type wheelofnames.com, and you will have a colorful wheel. You can use this to enter the list of your student's name, and instead of you choosing who is going to present or who is going to answer a question, the Wheel of Names will decide for you. So you can just click to spin, and you can share your screen so students can see this, and the wheel decides for you. And yay, congratulations, Eric will answer that question, and we can remove that student, so then next time we spin the wheel, another student will be chosen. I use this a lot to choose students' names, but also when I'm creating stories with my students, I usually ask for ideas. So for example, if we want to create a story and decide on a character, I ask them, ¿qué hay? What is there? It could be a person, an animal, or a thing. So I write down their suggestions as they tell me. Maybe someone says, libro, a book, un perro, a dog, una niña, una puerta, un elefante, etc. So I write there all their choices, and then I don't have to choose, and I don't have to hurt anyone's feelings. The wheel will decide which object, person, or animal is going to be our character. And so that way, in a fun way, they're all participating, and the wheel decides the next step. I always use it on the spot. I don't save it, but you can explore the different options here. If you log in, there is a way to save certain lists. So if you want to use this often with the list of students, there is a way to do that. Have fun with the wheel of names. The second application I would like to show you is called Snap Camera, and you can download for free at snapcamera.snapchat.com, and it works on PC and Mac. Once you downloaded this application onto your computer, there are many things that you can do. One thing that I like is right from the application, you can take pictures. You click here on the camera, you can take a picture and save it, and you can also take a video and download it to your computer. The fun of Snap Camera is that it brings some of the same filters that you could find on Snapchat, the phone application, onto your computer. One way that I use this is when I am waiting for my students to come in, or they come in one by one. Just to start a conversation, I usually ask them, ¿Cuál es tu animal favorito? What's your favorite animal? So as they come in, I ask them those questions, and if someone says gato, cat, I quickly look for gato and then enable that filter. Hola, ¿cómo estás? And I can talk as a cat. And then another person comes in and they like to be an elephant. Elefante. I quickly look for that, and un elefante se balanceaba. So it's a fun way to bring those conversations about favorite things. Sometimes we talked about food, and we might have a lot of people who like pizza. We might not be able to have a pizza party in person, but we can have a virtual pizza party. And you can use this to record a video. Remember, you can always click on Take Video, record your video, and then download it. Or you can also use this as a virtual camera on Google Meet or Zoom. So once you have it installed, for example, if you are in a Google Meet, you're going to click on your settings and go to Video, and on Camera, you're going to select Snap Camera. So now when we turn on our camera inside the Google Meet, I can see, students can see me, but I'm using the Snap Camera. So if I turn into an effect on the Snap Camera, my students will see that effect. It's a lot of fun, and my students love to see all the transformations. If you're using Zoom, you can do something similar. Where it says Start Video, you'll click on the arrow next to it, and then you'll have the list of cameras that are available. Just choose Snap Camera and turn it on. And now you're using a Snap Camera. If you don't have any filters, then it's just you. But if you enable a filter like the pizza, now your students see your face as a pizza. One filter that I created that I use a lot with my students, it's one that allows me to do text as a background when I'm telling a story. So I don't have to share my screen, students can see me there. I will give you the link or the way to find this filter on Snap Camera, because you have to enter the link here where it says searches. You can search for anything. So let's see, we search for cheese, if you like cheese, and maybe you become cheese. Hola, soy un queso. But I created a filter where I can upload an image. So in this filter here it says there's nothing here, but it says select image. And I created this image on Google Slide, just some text on one side and a picture of a cat on the other side, because I'm going to tell the story about this cat in Spanish. So I have some supporting scaffolding words here and a picture there. I download this as an image. So I click on File, Download, JPEG or PNG. And inside Snap Camera, I click on Select Image, and I select that JPEG or PNG from my computer, and now it becomes my background. So now I can tell the story. I could say, clase, I means there is un gato. Hay un gato. Sí, clase, hay un gato. Se llama, is called, se llama Michifus. Vive en Minneapolis. And then if I want, because I'm right here on Snap Camera, I can turn myself into the cat and say, hola, soy un gato, me llamo Michifus, vivo en Minneapolis. And I can do it all inside Snap Camera, which students are going to see on your Google Meet or Zoom if you have Snap Camera selected. Now for this filter, because it's not one of the official filters that you can find here, it's one that I created, you will need the link in order to find it. And I will provide the link on part 4 of our presentation. That is part of your surprise. So what you'll see is that you'll have a link, and in the search bar, you're gonna enter that link, and there is the filter to include your own image. I hope you like it. And finally, my surprise. I have a gift for you. You can access a document that I created with resources and copies of templates that I have used throughout this presentation. You can access this document by going to a browser and copy the link you see on the screen. But as usual, I will take you behind the scenes to show you how I created that document so you can do something similar if you need to. Let's have a look at it. I would like to show you what's included in this document list of resources from my presentation, adding interactivity and fun to online instruction. But also, I would like to teach you a couple of features that I used when creating this document, because those might be useful to you in the future. So you notice from the video presentation, I gave you a short link to access this document so that you can view this document. We'll get to see how we can create that short link, because the actual link to the presentation is much longer. But before we do that, let's see what we have here. We have a link to the slides from my presentation for you to view, a couple of tutorials how to share your screen on Zoom or Google Meet. And during my presentation, I used some Google Slides to support visually my interaction with students, to give them directions. So that's the slide that I would share with my students to tell them, give me thumbs up or thumbs down or a scale 1 to 5. So if you click on this link, you will not actually see my document, but it will force you to make a copy. Just like you said, it says here. When you click the link, it will prompt you to make your own copy. We call this a forced copy. So when you click there, you will see this note that says, would you like to make a copy? You click on make a copy, and this will be a copy of my presentation, or this template in this case, that you can keep. Now, mind you, the template is not the most beautiful thing in the world. To be honest, I don't spend too much time on beautifying my presentations, because I'm more concerned about doing something quick to be able to use in my class and to do a variety of things than trying to do one thing and make it super beautiful. But at least you can have it as an example, and then you can change it for your own purposes. Now, how do we make that link that forces people to make their own copy? You might have a document that you want to share with your students for them to have their own copy. If you use G Suite and you use Google Classroom, that is pretty easy to do by creating an assignment, attaching the document, and then selecting make a copy for each student. But if you don't use Google Classroom, this is what you could do to have one Google Doc, slides, Google Google Docs or Google Sheets or Jamboard and force people to make a copy. So let's say, for example, that you have this very basic template to make a presentation, title and 2 topics. Very exciting, I know. And you want the person you're sharing this with to create a copy, their own copy of this, not to look at your document. So first we need to click on share and make sure that here where it says get link, it's not restricted, but anyone on the internet with this link can view. If it doesn't say that, just click change here. So it should not be restricted, but it should be anyone with the link can view, not comment or edit, but view. So make sure it's view, and we're gonna copy that link. Now, if you share that link with people, what will happen is that they will be able to see the document. So they paste the link on a browser. They will see the document on view only mode. So they cannot modify it. In order to modify it, they would either have to request edit access, and that's annoying because everybody will have to request access. You have to grant it to them, or they could click on file and make a copy. So that's possible too. But if you want them to create a copy from the link, force them to make a copy right away, what you'll do is the following. First, paste the link on your browser. Don't click enter. We're going to delete the last part after the last slash up to the word edit. We're going to delete that and replace it with the word copy. Now we're going to select all that and copy it. And that is what we're going to share with other people. So now when other people paste that link on a browser, instead of showing the document, it will ask them to make a copy. Great. So now we have that forced copy. So I did that for some slides, for the Jamboard template. Now, if you actually click on those links, you will see that they are shorter. They are not this long link that is created. And that's the same thing that I did for the link to view this document. I made it shorter for a couple of reasons. One, if you're going to share with someone visually, you can't just share all these combinations of letters. That's impossible to copy visually. If they're going to click on it, that's fine. And also, because this website that I used to shorten will tell me how many people used that link. So let's take that force copy link that we created. We copy it, and I'm using a website called Bit.ly. So you go to bit.ly.com or bit.ly. Actually, the link is here on the document. And the way to create a short link is you sign in or you sign up, click on create. You're going to paste the long link in this box, and it will automatically create a short link, which is going to be bit.ly, bit.ly / and then a series of numbers and letters. If you're going to put this link somewhere in a document like I did here, I just leave the combinations of letters because you are clicking on it, not a problem. If you're going to show it to people so that they have to type it somewhere, this is not too bad, but it's case sensitive. So that means that the W had to be capital, the X had to be capital, and sometimes people make mistakes. So what you could do instead is what I did with the link to this Google document. You can customize what goes after bit.ly. So for example, here I can select that, delete it, and say this is PV presentation presentation template, for example. And I usually keep it all lowercase because then it will be easier for people to not make a mistake. And when I click enter, it's available. Sometimes it's not available and you have to change something. And that's why I put PB, my initials, in front of that, because then I make it original or unique somehow. But now this is a unique link. So if I wanted to, I could share on a presentation that I'm going to show to people this link. Usually we don't need to show the HTTPS part. So I could just show this and it will be easier for people to read and type into their browser to get to a document. Another reason that I use Bitly, not only to shorten the URLs, but also because Bitly provides a very simple analytics that gives me an idea of how many people visited that link. So for example, here I know that this was the link to a presentation that I gave to students, and this tells me, if I click on it, it tells me that it was clicked 32 times, which sounds right. It's about the number of students that I have. Other are presentations like maybe this one that I share with more people, so there are more links there. And it gives me an idea of where people clicked on it. Here's United States and Canada. It's very basic analytics, but it gives me an idea of how many people clicked on that link and when. So those are two features that might be useful to you: how to make a forced copy and how to make a short link. So you can keep looking at the resources here. There is a link to the Snap camera, and here is also the link that I mentioned to the lenses that I created called Background Image Picker. Remember that you can select an image, and this image shows you where you put this link. You're going to copy this link and paste it in the search box of Snap camera, and you will find that lens. Now I will also include a very simple background template. So if you click on this link, it will be a forced copy, just like the others, and it will be a simple, again, I focus on keeping things quick and simple, a simple template that you can use to create your own background. So you can change the image, you can change the words that are going to be showing here in the background to help you tell the story. And when you're done, you click on File, Download as a JPEG or a PNG, and that is what you're going to upload on Snap Camera when you click on Select Image. And then you have also my contact information. So I hope this document is useful. I hope you like this surprise gift. And that's all for this presentation. Thank you so much for watching it and spending some time with me. If you have any questions, you can find me on Twitter at Paulino Brener, or you can send me an email to paulino@didactas.com. Muchas gracias. Have a great day.